Hey everybody, it's Shuko here from VSaints Gaming, and I wanted to provide you guys with a little bit of a beginner's guild guide. This guild guide today is going to involve everything that's under level 99. Some things are going to involve some mission completion around level 50 or so, and some quest or things, but I'm going to explain everything you can do that I'm aware of that you can use to make gil in Final Fantasy XI Retail Edition. So, let's switch over to Shuko in Final Fantasy XI, and I'm going to explain the first thing, sparks. So right now, I'm in Bastock Markets. Each of the main 3 cities have a way to do this, but if you go to your quests, and you look down here, you see Records of Eminence, and initially if you set this, you'll wind up having to find this NPC or one of the 3 towns equivalents of it, depending on where you start. And you'll get a little creepy doll that follows you around and tracks your quests. And you get rewarded with sparks, and those sparks are used for many different things. You can get up to almost one shy of 100,000, and you can spend that per week at this NPC. On that note, once you've completed a few of these, you'll be prompted around level 10 to talk to this NPC, which is the Unity NPC. And the Unity NPC winds up having multiple things that you can spend accolades on as well. On that note, let's give a quick little demo. Once you've completed those quests and you're able to interact with them, this menu will come up. If you're trying to make gil specifically, here's what you do. And honestly, I know a lot of players already know this one, so bear with me as I move through these tricks. I'm just starting from the simplest, and we're going to go up to more difficult as we go into the later videos. So, you go down to 71 to 98, and at 71 to 98 is the highest items that you can sell to a vendor without them being rare X. From there, you wind up going down to next page, you're looking for shields. And once you get to them, you'll see this one. This shield you want to buy. Now, you would want to buy as many sparks as you have available. And in my case, I'm not going to do this right now. I'm going to do it with 1, just so you can see. But if you would buy a full amount of sparks, you could take them to the nearest NPC. And depending on your fame, which you can max out to make a little bit more gil as well, and it's worth that investment. It's actually a lot easier to do now. And you sell 28k per, so you can get about 1 million gil weekly doing this method. Now, I also mentioned accolades, so what can you get from them? There's 2 things I would point out. The first thing is this Gobby key, but we'll pause on that for a moment. We'll get back to that. The second thing that you could do for guaranteed gil is prize powder. Now, you can actually get up to your max amount on here, and it stacks to 99, so you want to make sure you have a ton of inventory. So what I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to just get 198. And that should, 1980 accolades. Now, you can pretty much fill up your entire inventory almost with this, so you want to be a little careful. And with the shields, too. But then you go down to prize powder, and 102 per. They add up. And that's how you turn your accolades and your sparks into direct gil. So on that note, we were talking about that goblin key, right? Once your accounts hit 45 days, and hopefully you're level 99 by then, but if you're not, and you're just playing casual, going for member berries and everything, taking it slow, that's okay too. Or if you're coming back from a long time and your account's already pretty old, every town zone, or almost every town zone, has a goblin with a chest standing next to them. They all have different names. It usually ends in like ox. And you interact with them. and you'll get 10 daily login points every day from him. And you can also trade him keys and other rare items from Abyssia. And honestly, you could try a whole bunch of things, and it'll add points. I believe you can only trade one item a day to feed the chest to get extra points. But anyways, that said, when you have 50 points, you would go to him and spend the special dial. Now, that's the same key that you saw from the prior guy and the menu there. And when you spend it, he pretty much spins a random wheel of almost anything in the game, except for the legendary weapons. And you'd be surprised, you get an item that's worth a ton. In that case, I got a spool of bundling twine. That's not super amazing. But I have gotten things worth 4 or 5 million gil randomly, just like a lottery. So I call it the Lotto Goblin. And that is another way to make gil. But it's not consistent, but you definitely want to check it anytime that you get the chance. So that's 3 methods to make gil for you. But there are many others, some more reliable than others. So let's talk about another method. If you've gotten the mount and a chocobo license, you can actually wind up renting a chocobo or using your own raised chocobo. And there's 2 pieces of gear, either the event black chocobo body or the denim pants, which is actually up for this month as a login points item. If you take 2 of them, you could synergize them together to add rare drop chances to the chocobo dig. So on that note, let's just do a quick little demo on my little black chocobo, Princess Harmony. And I happen to be in the Shadow Rain area, so this is Grauberg and the past. The reason I do this is, from what I've understood from the person that I've learned this from, FN Dragon, that you have a higher chance of getting HMP or heavy metal plates here, which happen to sell for, on Siren, 6.2 million a stack. I've legitimately seen him get several while waiting for an event to gather and set up. So this is something I want people to be aware of, especially now that this month the login points have a bonus for this, just by wearing the denim pants +1. So something to keep in mind, there is a hidden skill feature, so the more you do it, the better and more often you get. So I don't dig up as much as I would like. But I've definitely seen others who have done it more get a lot. So if you're low level or something like that, or just casually kind of wanting to do some adventuring and seeing areas, definitely bring out your chocobo and do some digging if you can. Now, one last thing I would point out about this is that you need to have Geshal greens, and you can buy them and they stack up to 99. And you buy them from the chocobo, the vendor in the chocobo rental place, which this is what the Geshal greens look like. And I usually just buy a stack at a time, kind of keep a stack with me. And you can just, whenever you're adventuring, have to run through an area, you pull out your thing. It's as simple as, let's take a sec, see what pops up. Now, you can't dig for a minute when you change into a zone, and that's one other thing to keep in mind. But this is another way to make a lot of gil under level 99. So heading back to a town for a little bit, let's do something that you can do that doesn't involve battle. As we're in Juneau, I want to talk a little bit about the auction house, bazaars, and crafting and gathering. So let's pop on Deshuko a little bit and see what we got. So for crafting, I'm not the biggest expert in crafting, but I have done a little bit here and there. And you need a crystal and certain items and the right amount of skill in that to be able to craft it. In this case, I'm going to try to make a steel sheet with a steel ignet and a fire crystal. And I got to 38 smithing skill. Nice, sometimes you get a skill up. Usually up to 70, it's pretty merciful, which is the cap that you can get to for all of them. But you can pick one to take up to 100. And fishing as well. Now, the auction house essentially breaks into, you can sell 7 items and you can check them with sales status. You can actually choose items to sell with sell. And then we're going to go to bid. Now, I could be making several other more advanced videos about the auction house and things in it, but for the basics one, we're going to talk about crystals. Now, fire crystals that you saw me just use are 5k a stack. Well, that's not a ton. That adds up, especially as you're leveling yourself up. One a little bit more rare, though. Let's say you start getting to clusters and elementals and stuff, and you start gathering them together. A stack of dark clusters is 80k. So don't underestimate the power of saving up your crystals. They can be traded to the ephemeral Moogle in your Mog Garden if you have unlocked it, or at the crafting places as well. So this is also another way to make gil in Final Fantasy XI under 75, or under 99 I mean. But let's check one more way. Do y'all remember Roland Bart? If you were playing back in the day, people would run outside of this zone and sell things in their bazaar because there's taxes in Juneau and you'd have to pay a little bit more to actually buy something here. Well, they took that away a little while ago. And in most lower Juneaus, you will see many, many bazaars of all kinds of things. And you can also sell your stuff here. People generally know to check for, especially the things that you can't auction house. So there's a market here, and sometimes you can buy things for cheaper and sell them for more expensive, and so on. So this is also another way. The other thing I'm going to talk about is called gathering, which is pretty simple sounding, right? But there's pickaxes, hatchets, and scythes. You can get them in the Adeline areas and from certain NPCs around here. And certain areas will have the points you can interact with to gather from. There's actually a hidden growth system related to that as well, just like the chocobo digging. So these are all ways to make gil under level 99. And another way I would mention is through salvage in the Ottergon area, which you can also do under level 99. But that's a bit more advanced, and I wouldn't suggest trying that unless you're very comfortable with the game. So what do you do if you find yourself with absolutely no gil and nothing to sell and no options at all? Well, if you've happened to make it into the Seekers of Adeline area, even the first mission where you walk in, you'll be able to access something called the Mog Garden. And you can go next to the Skipper Moogles and the ship, or take it from your Mog House and ride out here. And you'll be able to do several things, which get you some, not a ton, but some good emergency gil to get you started. So let's do a quick demo on what you can do here. And I'm just going to explain the beginner things. There is one advanced thing that you could do here that I'm going to be doing in a later video. So this happens to be a fully upgraded one. You start off, yours won't look like this exactly. And there won't be a little path and stuff over there at first. But eventually, after you do talk to the Moogle and he'll teach you all the different interactions, these shinies will pop up once a day, and you can interact with them and pick them up. When you see the big crab here, the bonus is up and you'll get 2 items. That happens, certain months. Now, sometimes it's junk. Sometimes it's actually things that you could bazaar for very much. So this is the CNET. This ranks up as you use it. You can pick it up once a day. And it gives you a whole bunch of fish. This is the mining area. Kind of reminds me of Monster Hunter. Multiple excavations. Oh boy. Sometimes it gives you a bunch, and sometimes it gives you all of them, sometimes it gives you 1 or 2. We're going to take a break from that to show you the next one. This is the pond skim. And the pond skim's a lot like the other water one, where you just hit it once and it gives you a bunch of stuff. Just like that, a bunch of little fish and stuff. Then over here you have the Grove, and in the Grove, as that upgrades, it can get up to 3 trees. And you can wind up interacting with this a lot like the mine. You prune the trees, there's multiple pruning, sometimes it does more than one. Sometimes I've seen it do all the prunings all in one hit, and I'm like, wow, nice. Don't have my inventory is already full. So on that note, before we talk about the last thing that you can do in here, let's go to the Green Thumb Moogle. Buy or sell things. Sell. And let's get rid of some of this junk. Adelaide kelp for 30. Pine nuts. Bundle twine. Gardenia seed. Ebony log. It's actually a pretty good one to craft with, so I'm going to keep that. Dark steel ore is pretty rare. Sometimes once you level these up, you'll actually start to get pretty good things. Ooze and Shimo Newt aren't that rare. Three-eyed fish. Crayfish. Book cart. Just to give an idea. Another NR is this good at first, but this is a great way to get some emergency gil. The last thing that you can do with the garden portion particularly is over here. Now, you would trade a seed to it and wait a period of time. The fastest item is a revival root, which you can actually plant too. And then you can fertilize it as well. Now, all of these things can technically be quote, underquote, fertilized. And fertilization just makes the thing have a higher chance of giving more rare items. Now, for this particular, I saved it for last because there's a unique fertilizer that you can get from the Gooskin mines. It's a Gooskin clay that you get from the very, very back of it. And I'm going to show more details of that in a later video. But if you plant revival seeds or other types, revival root or other types of seeds here and fertilize them too, you can actually get certain very rare items that are still very valuable today. And that can be done under 99. The other thing is eventually once you progress here far enough, you will wind up meeting little Chacharoon over here, and that unlocks monster rearing. Once you have monster rearing, you're actually able to interact and raise certain monsters, and they will level up, and you can get items from them once a day as well. So that is also another thing involving the Mog Garden that you can do to make money. So once you've made a little progress in Final Fantasy XI, and you've completed the Shadow Lord mission, you'll be able to access Dynamis, the original. And you can bring Trust in here, and you'll be able to kill monsters. Now, during certain times of day, there's certain things that can be activated to wind up proccing them, and they'll have an even higher chance of dropping the currency, which sells in the auction house for 100k to 200k a stack. Or 100, to be exact. So, let's switch over to Shuko, and we can see what to do here. I chose Bastok because, you know, I'm Bastokin and I like it. And I pulled out Cornelia so you can see Trust can be pulled. I don't really need Trust. I'm going to just pull one of these guys and let's get started. Come here, buddy. I think it's the time of day where you can use job abilities, but let's see. Nope. Oh well. I got a Militant and a couple other links. But there's a lot of gear in this game that you can get that has Treasure Hunter, or if you're a thief. So switch to that. And then just kill him. Make sure you hit him at least once with the Treasure Hunter gear. Oh, he's invincible. I'm wondering, I'm like, why am I not dealing? These guys should be dead already. Let's switch targets. But they're pretty easy. I mean, you'll say level 80 or so, some of these entry-level guys. But this is a little bit later. And honestly, probably right when you hit 99, you would be able to farm here. And it's not the best skill. But for right at 99 and pre-99 stuff, it is one of. Especially if you come in here at the right times to activate things. Like if I was here at the job ability time, for instance, they would drop currencies and sometimes 100 pieces even more frequently. So the original Dynamis is a way that you can make gil under level 99 in Final Fantasy XI. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching this gil guide. This is going to be part 1 of several, and this is pretty much concluding everything that I can think of that you can do to get gil under level 99. Now, in the next part, I'm going to go into things that you have to be level 99 for and have a little bit of completion of some small amounts of content. And then in the third part, I'd like to get into some of the more advanced skill farming methods. So stay tuned and be sure to subscribe and take note of what's going to come up next if this is something you're interested in. But I'll give you a little bit of a preview just to give you a hint as to what I'm going to talk about. One of the items I'm going to bring up is the stones from Alluvian Skirmish, and some of them sell over $1 million a stack, and they can be gotten with a single hit to a monster in one event if done properly, and I'm going to explain that to you in the next video. So, but this one is to try to help some of the newer players and stuff. There's a lot of maps. There's a lot of spells you have to buy in the beginning of the game, and while I don't think that you should spend your gil on gear, you should use the Sparks vendor. There is a lot of things that you need gil for until you get to level 99 and as you're building up. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching today, and I hope that you enjoyed, and I hope to see you again. Take care.